quiz. A few things we need to know about the quiz. First of all, being that due date. Every quiz is going to have a due date. It's due by that date. You will be able to still do the quizzes after that due date, but there'll be late penalties. So for every day after the due date that you finish a quiz, you're going to get a 10% penalty. So say you get 100% right, but it's a day late, you wind up with a 90. You do it 2 days late, you wind up with an 80, and so on and so forth. You kind of get the idea. So you can do them late, it's just you'll be penalized for them. And now, most of these quizzes are about 20 questions, so they'll be worth 20 points. There are a few that only have maybe like 15 questions or so. Still, each question is going to be worth 1 point. And this tells you how many questions it has right here. Now, all these quizzes are locked until that specific module opens. So you got that availability date. Right there, you can tell right away. Now, odds are, if it's not available yet, you weren't able to get into the module anyway, and you weren't even able to get to this point. But every one of these quizzes will open up with the module, and it'll stay open until the end of the semester. That way, if you want to go back and review, you want to check on things, you want to maybe just do a little extra studying, you're still going to be able to get back to this quiz. Now, none of these have a time limit. You can take them as many times as you want, and we're going to take the highest score that you get. We're not going to take an average or anything like that. We're just going to take the very highest score that you get. So now that we got those details out of the way, we can go ahead and hit our Take the Quiz button. Now again, we've talked about these a little bit before. This is just a typical multiple choice question. There's just going to be one answer because there's just a round circle. If this was a question that had multiple choices but had multiple answers, these would be boxes instead of circles. And again, you've got some of these with drop downs where you've got to pick one of the selection in the drop down box. And again, multiple choice. Sometimes you have to order these drop down boxes. You've got to put these answers in order that they're supposed to be. And again, sometimes you have the true-false questions, which we're all pretty familiar with. If you ever have any questions about any of these quizzes, feel free to go ahead and ask one of your instructors or send an email to instructor. These quizzes should be your own work. These aren't to do in groups. You should be doing it by yourself. You can, however, use all the materials you have in this course to answer these questions, but make sure you answer them yourself. Now we're finally almost through our last module. We've talked about how to navigate through Canvas. We've talked about all the different navigation on the left-hand side. We've also talked about the navigation on the bottom of almost every page. To get to all the different things we need, remember you always have this FAQ page, the frequently asked questions. If you have questions about how to do something or how to get to a part of Canvas, we'll have all those videos and all that stuff at that FAQ page. If you want to get to the page where all the syllabus and all the student workbooks are at, you can go to the course documents, and you have the modules and the announcements list. You'll get really familiar with the module list. The announcements, it's still good every time you log into Canvas to make sure you check your announcements, to make sure there's not something going on, make sure a due date hasn't changed or a lab date hasn't changed as well. We've talked about how to go through all these different videos. We've talked about what to expect, what we expect out of every student. We've talked about how to put the videos together with the student workbooks, how to check your answers from the student workbook, and how to just really take notes, make sure when you're watching videos, make sure when you're reading the book, answering the questions, that you're really paying attention to what you're doing and not just doing something to have it done. We've talked about the quizzes. Remember, those due dates aren't going to be very flexible at all, and those quizzes will get locked if you go beyond your due date. And remember, if you have any questions at all, there's always a team of instructors ready to answer questions for you. As long as it's not a specific quiz question, feel free to ask the other people in your class or the people you work with. Everybody understands things differently and at a different rate. Some people understand things better than other people do, and it's really good sometimes to hear somebody else explain it that's kind of in the same place you are, rather than just getting it from a video from somebody who already knows all the content. Sometimes it's good to find that person that just understood it themselves, so they can then translate it to you the way they understand it, and sometimes it just clicks. So for now, go ahead, maybe review through your notes that you've hopefully taken so far, and maybe go through some of these videos. You can find them on the FAQ page, and go ahead and take your quiz for your very first module.